Okay. Moto Monday, 131.
Yeah.
Back in studio. How's it going, Dave?
It's going good, man.
Dave Sullivan got you in here. Talk dirt bikes. Actually, I think we got some fun topics to talk about today.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. Thanks for having me.
Sounds like you're not going to be riding anytime soon, so might as well talk moto, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I've honestly kind of been avoiding it online just because I can't do it, but I'm getting sucked back in now. So.
Did it bug you to like be around moto stuff and not be able to participate?
Yeah, so I just kind of shut it out, other than watching the outdoors and everything. And
sorry, that's the first thing I literally bring up.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, no, absolutely. But
I had no idea. We were talking right before we went live. I had no idea how long you were out.
Yeah.
So you had a little bit of an injury.
Mm-hmm.
And how long are you out? Like,
I should be able to ride in April.
That's a ways away from today in December.
Mm-hmm. And my crash was in March.
So that's an 11-month layoff.
Yeah, and it shouldn't have been, but what had happened was...
Was it a good crash?
Yeah. The people who saw it, man, they said it was like spectacular. Yeah, so they were pretty concerned, but it was at Albany. Stupid mistake, but it was in that the finish line straightaway where all the spectators sit. People call it the whoops. It's more of like a rhythm section right now, but was going for this double. There's kind of a big double into the rhythm section, then they get smaller. And I wasn't doing it because it was a little greasy, and I was just waiting. And I saw some of the faster guys doing it, maybe third session. I was like, all right, I'm gonna pull the trigger this lap. And it's a jump I've done a million times, but rear tire spins on the face of it. So I come up, boner air, sideways, and I land, a little short, obviously, and I get off the back of the bike, and it's just whiskey throttle, and I'm just trying to hang on, and I'm trying to pull myself and get the clutch and the brake. I can't do anything, so I just decide to let go and bail, and I'm sure I hit something pointy, but yeah, so broke the wrist, dislocated the elbow on the left side, and that was all I knew at the time. So my buddies, Dan Abernathy, Dave Clymer, thanks for helping me load my shit. They helped me load my bike up, and I actually drove myself to the ER that night.
You drove yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no need for an ambulance.
Okay.
So I kind of hobbled in there, and this was March, I want to say it was like 16, 17, whatever that Wednesday was. It was a Wednesday at Albany, and it was literally the day before everything got locked down for COVID.
Okay.
So I go in there, they reset the elbow, which we were talking about a little bit beforehand. So they put that back into place. They did an x-ray on the wrist, said it's broken, so I ended up having surgery for that a week later. And then I was recovering. I thought all was cool. I had a little digger on the shoulder, digger on the knee, but I'm like, walk it off, not too bad. So 2 months later, it's around Memorial Day time, and I'm like, all right, wrist is feeling pretty good, time to get back in moto. So Memorial Day weekend, we're gonna go camp at Albany in the motorhome, do some riding. And this is a funny story. I'm up on my roof, and I'm cleaning out the gutters, and I'm kind of propped up on my left leg just so I don't fall off, and I'm scooping crap out of there, and a frog jumps out of my gutter and just spooks me. So I push off this leg and like jump back towards the center of the roof, and I just felt this pain and pop and not goodness in my left knee. Laid on my roof for about 10 or 15 minutes, finally crawled off on the ladder, iced it, and I was actually still able to go, and we camped and rode Albany that weekend.
You rode?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it felt okay, definitely not 100%, but it felt okay-ish. Then I was like, I should probably contact a doctor, though. That felt pretty bad. So then I went in, and end of May, start of June, that's when I found out, I probably have a torn ACL, partially tore it from the crash, tore it the rest of the way on the roof with the damn frog.
The frog finished it off.
Yeah. That was the frog's finishing move. Yeah, so that's a very manly story. But so they do that. Okay, I'm going to need ACL surgery. Great. So I know that's going to be a 6-month ordeal to recover from, which I'm about 4.5, 5 months now. So it actually feels pretty good. So I'm just going. I get that surgery in July. I start rehabbing that. I'm thinking everything's good. I'm going to be able to ride maybe whenever 6 months from July is, and the shoulder's still bugging me, and I'm just rehabbing it. I'm doing PT, and I'm like, it's still just not getting better. It's not getting strong. And they did an MRI on that, and they said, you do have a rotator cuff tear, but it's pretty small. We don't think we'll have to operate. After months of PT, it wasn't getting better. It's like, okay, we need to operate. So that's when I went in for surgery. God, when was that? End of October. And he thought it was just going to be like a cleanup. They call it rotor-rooter, or debridement is the medical term.
Take just like some of the burrs off or something? Okay.
Clean up all the pissed off tissue and open up a tunnel, decompress things. But ended up, I did have a much bigger tear than the MRI showed, so they had to surgically repair that. So that's another 6-month recovery. So that's kind of the progression of it all. But you know, it's I'm finally in PT for the shoulder now, and the knee feels good. So it'll get there.
That's rough, man.
Yeah.
So you're off a bike for a while.
Yes.
That would make me grumpy too.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't been on a bike in a while either. But still, wow.
Yeah.
So you were finding out the extent of the injury as time goes on.
Yeah, because I think when one thing's really hurting, and my arm was like the obvious injury, you got some dings and stuff, but I didn't think it was anything serious. A lot of that soft tissue and ligament and tendon stuff, like you don't really know unless it just totally pops right away.
Fair.
So yeah, it just wasn't apparent till later. So unfortunately, it's been stretched out a lot.
Brutal.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to wait a little bit to hop on the bike. But look on the bright side, there wasn't a lot of events this year.
Right.
I mean, there was places to ride, but there wasn't really many events.
Yeah. And I was pretty stoked on that because I told, Jen, I was like, yeah, I picked a pretty good year to get injured because not a lot going on. We can't do all the stuff we normally do because, the past 5 years before that, it was every weekend we were camping in the motorhome or the trailer we had before that and riding dirt bikes. And that was it. That was every single weekend. Or we're hosting at home. We have a track at home too. We were having people over and they were camping and we were doing the same thing. So it was definitely different. It definitely sucked this year. I did get some fun in with the shooting competition stuff, but no Moto. We even got the track redone at home, and I think I rode it like twice.
Oh, man, that's
Sad.
a bummer.
Yeah.
But you can still shoot.
Yes.
Which is, we were talking earlier, that's one of your other passions right now.
Yeah.
Is this something new?
It is. So funny, I never shot, well, no, I shouldn't say never. I shot a gun one time prior to moving to the property we're on in Canby, which is about 5 years we've been there now.
Okay.
I just wasn't, my dad was a hippie. He wasn't into wrenching or bikes or guns or any fishing or any of that stuff. He was into music and being a hippie. So that was kind of what I was raised. And then when I got into bikes, I had to learn from all my friends. I didn't learn from my dad. I learned from my friends how to wrench and how to ride and all that fun stuff. And so I wasn't really around them. And then we moved out to the country, and I was like, it's probably a good idea to, stay strapped or get clapped. So out in the country, it's kind of on you. There's not the same response time as suburban areas or metro areas, and you got animals out there and all kinds of stuff. So I said, let's get one. And then when I got one, I said, well, I should probably know how to use this thing if I'm going to own it and be responsible. And then getting into just kind of the basic, functions of self-defense stuff, and then it got me more into the competition kind of racy play side of it.
So you thought it was fun. You got into it a little more. Next thing you know, you're actually going to competitions. Mm-hmm. Kind of like me and pit bikes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I didn't know you before pit bikes because when I met you, I kind of met you as the pit bike guy. So I don't know that progression.
Well, I've been doing it a while.
Yeah.
Like, I got in early and I just never got out.
Okay.
So, no, there was a time I didn't ride pit bikes, but that wasn't very old. I just got hooked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's the same kind of thing. Like, oh, this is fun. Do it a few more times. Like, oh, this is actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, I currently own 11.
Wow.
So it becomes a problem.
That's a lot.
I'm starting to think I might have an addictive personality.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those guys who has a cup of coffee. I have the pot. I don't have a pit bike. I have 11.
Right.
So, yeah.
I was wondering if that's how I met you. I was trying to think about that because I remember buying the base model SSR from you back in the day, and I know that was when I just moved here from California. I was living in Hillsboro.
How did we first meet? That is actually a really good question. I know we've raced against each other. I'm pretty sure we banged bars when I was on a pit bike at Mountain View.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was actually probably one of the most fun motos of my life, banging bars with just a couple guys I knew, and being on the very edge of crashing the whole time, trying to compete against big bikes on that pit bike, which that pit bike was fast.
Yeah. No, I remember it was
Still
modded.
little wheels.
Yeah.
Little wheels, and it kind of bucked you, and those ruts got awfully big.
I bet.
And there was a few times I dragged my pegs, almost flipped over the bars. But that was Mountain View's a blast if it stays smooth on a pit bike, because you can just literally just click fourth gear. There's only 4 speeds or 4 gears, and just go wide open.
I'll take your word for that.
Yeah, I mean, trust me, there's a lot of pucker moments, especially hitting some of those tables.
Yeah.
You're just drifting everywhere. It's fun, but you're like, I'm going to die at any moment.
Oh, I remember. I was on that gate with you. It was the 30 plus C&D.
I think you were making fun of me too on the gate.
No, I wasn't making fun of you, but I remember this picture that Jen took with me and you right next to each other. 'Cause we were lined up next to each other on the gate. And it's just funny because I'm there and I'm on like blocks, for the start, and then you're just like way down here. And no, dude, you lit it up. I mean, you beat all the D class guys, and I would say at least half the C class guys, if not more. It was pretty impressive.
There were some battles to the very checkered flag too, and I forget some of the guys. I ran into a couple buddies there, and it was just like, we're just gonna keep going, even though I had a few moments where I almost died, but it was just way too much fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, I remember that day very well because the track was nice.
Yeah.
And I was actually able, because if it gets too rough, the pit bike's out the door. Like, you ain't gonna compete at all. But it was smooth. It was just a fun day. I feel like, when was it? That's actually a really good question. I don't know. I know we did a photo shoot.
Yes.
You did a photo shoot for us.
Did the soap modeling, yes.
Soap modeling, which is...
I was bummed I didn't get booked more gigs from you after that.
Well, selling soap is not like a high profit business.
Yeah.
Okay, it takes me like 5 years to get the money to get there.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I got you.
People...
Unless you're doing a Fight Club style.
Ooh. See, I just need to get more interesting marketing gimmicks is what I need.
Yeah.
See, I got ideas, but can't run events right now.
Right, yeah.
But, the soap back in the day, it was good times.
The
Moto soap, honestly, I've barely been able to pay for my coffee off of that, but it's been so much fun to come up with like Brockberry and different ones. It's been so much fun to come up with Moto soap.
No doubt. No doubt.
Yeah, Dave here, I believe, was my first soap model. Pretty sure.
I'll take that title.
Pretty sure. So since then, so we've known each other a few years. You've been around Northwest Motocross, and as a day job, you're a financial advisor?
Yes, that's what they tell me, yeah.
That's what they tell you?
Yeah, I've been doing that for almost 18 years now.
Wow. Now, do you work with different companies like under them? I mean, I don't know really how this area works. Are you just solo? Like, how does it work?
Yeah, so there's, I guess, a firm that's kind of a bigger umbrella, so I have resources.
Is it kind of like Realty? Where they got the office
really.
and they work out of there? How's it work?
Well, I guess, yeah, in the sense that you have an office and you work out of it.
Well, you know what I mean. It's like,
since March.
There's like, realtors are kind of on their own, but they have the main umbrella they're on.
Yeah, and they have training and support and admin and all that. Yes, so in that regard, yes. In my world, there's kind of captive and non-captive. So captive means you just represent one company and you just sell their products and services, their proprietary stuff.
Gotcha.
Non-captive means you're open to all the companies that exist out there, which is the way I am, and I think that's the better way to go. A lot of people get trained on the captive side just because they have more training systems because they're trying to shove their proprietary stuff down everyone's throat. But on the non-captive side, yeah, you can really do what's best for the client because you have all these different companies to work with. So.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. So you've been doing that a while.
Yeah, a long time, man. I'm thankful I have that, especially years like this when I get injured because, I always feel bad for the guys with physical jobs and they get hurt, on Moto. It's like, how are you going to go lay concrete now or, whatever. It's like, I just got to be able to type.
Yeah, if you break a leg, you're not throwing down concrete. You're not like climbing up and framing a house or roofing, like not happening. So yeah, I mean, look on the bright side.
Yeah.
Look on the bright side of what you're doing. I guess could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, for sure. Could have been a worse year, and it definitely could have been worse a lot of ways. So as much as it sucks, they're still very thankful and compared to other circumstances it could have been.
So we don't need to get super deep into it, but when you work with clients, what are you doing? Are you working with a business, with a person, just help them manage their income expenses? Like what exactly do you do?
No on that part. God, I feel like that's what people think financial advisors do is they manage a budget. That's like my worst nightmare. Like I want nothing to do with that. I don't want to be the fun police is what I call it. It's like, hey Justin, if you didn't buy that coffee, you could save X amount of dollars per month and you could do X, Y, and Z. It's like, oh my God. No. To me, people's lifestyle, whatever it is, as long as they're not spending more than they make, that's none of my business. Gotcha. I want to make what they already have work better. So, I feel like most people don't know what a financial advisor is, or they think it's just portfolio management of investments. I really take a look from a holistic perspective of everything they got going on, what goals they're trying to hit financially, and I help them do it, help them reach their goals more quickly than they could on their own with this exact same budget and lifestyle they have. That second part's really the key. Is I don't want to change, what they're doing. They're having fun, how they, entertainment, all that stuff. But when people make decisions kind of in an isolated manner, there's a lot of waste, overlap, and inefficiencies. So I'm able to bring that stuff all together, just make it more efficient and function better as a machine.
Do you do this on like a small scale personal level, or is this more of you take on a businessman and all the stuff or full businesses? I mean, at what scale? Any scale?
Yeah, any scale.
Any
Yeah, work
scale.
with businesses, work with individual families. Yeah, yeah, we can do all that. All categories: protection, investments, debt elimination, cash flow management. For the businesses, key employee retention. How to incorporate. Anything to do with money, we really chat about. And if I'm not the guy that directly handles it, obviously I have people, I network with it too. So, yeah.
Can we talk about one of my top 10 favorite subjects then?
Sure.
Okay, pros.
Okay.
Pros have a rough go.
Okay.
From top to bottom, pros have a rough go because, first off, we're in a sport that's, as you know, very dangerous.
Yep.
It can, at a snap of your fingers, basically end your racing career. Just a mistake, one mistake. My homie Brad Frace, he clipped a rider on like a 100-foot jump, bailed off the bike, landed backwards, broke his back, hasn't raced since. And he was going to be on, I believe it was, I hope I don't butcher this, I believe it was Geico Honda.
Okay.
And, I mean, he had his goals lofty high, and he was dink, 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 going along and going right to that man. He was he could have been one of the guys,
Yeah.
And right before he was getting ready to race Supercross, that happened. So it's dangerous to start with.
Right.
So you take that into equation, and then what it takes to get to that level is a lot. To become a pro, not local pro,
Right.
which is hard enough, but to become a Supercross pro, it takes a lot. You need talent. You need a lot of time. Usually it helps if your parents have a little money to take you around amateur nationals for a few years and kind of groom you and stick you on that bike 5 days a week and get you a trainer, especially nowadays. I mean, they'll just straight send you off to a camp for 6 months.
Yeah.
And those camps aren't cheap either. All to groom you so you can go race against the big boys. You go out and race the big boys, you get 15th place, and you make about $300.
Right.
That's a rough career.
For sure.
And to get to that level, you can't just have enough talent to randomly do it. You got to have everything else. So
Right. All the discipline and physical gifts and all that stuff.
it's a tough go. Now the top creme de la creme, let's say Ryan Villapoto.
Okay.
He made a few bucks.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Outside of that though, there's a lot of people struggling, and I feel like it's a serious, serious problem for these guys that they spend their entire life, sometimes racing PWs all the way up to Supercross. Let's say they get on a team. Let's say they're a top 10 rider. They're actually really good. They're signing autographs. They're living the rock star lifestyle. That only goes for a few years. Most of them retire before 30.
Right.
And now they're stuck with zero experience in the workforce. They've typically been homeschooled, which I was too. I'm not dissing
really?
on homeschooling.
Okay.
They're stuck with not having really a skill set other than being a rider coach
Yeah.
or working a parts counter.
Right.
Now, obviously, there's plenty of exceptions, but in general, I'm very generalizing here.
Yeah.
It seems like over the years, I've seen a lot of people just struggle. They don't know what to do once they retire because there's really no exit to it. It's a lot of people are literally just making $35K a year and just a lot of fun toys along the way.
Yeah.
And they're on a team. I mean, they're not winning, okay? But they're on a team. They're doing good. They're the guys, that are signing autographs every single weekend. And I don't know, what do you think, as someone who knows finances way better than me, I'm going to drag some of this out of you. What do you think of some ideas, like stuff they could do? Is it just simply sitting down and writing it out and thinking about it? Because I feel like a lot of them don't even think about it. They're so focused on just being better next weekend.
Yeah.
They don't think 5 years out.
Yeah, and I think a lot of folks don't, especially when you're young. And motocross is obviously a sport. If you're going to be competitive professionally, you have to start when you're very young. So I wouldn't really expect them to have these long, financial goals. But it's really kind of the same formula with everybody. It doesn't matter if you're starting over at 30, and you just kind of finished up with a, motocross career, or if you're 50 or if you're 20 and you're just kind of working a regular job. Really, the steps are all the same. So step one is very boring. It's you got to have the protection items in place so you don't have any weak links in your chain. So it's making sure you have the right type of liability coverages and insurances. Having medical insurance is obviously very important motocross. So I had 3 surgeries this year. My max out of pocket was $6K. So I knew right off the bat the first surgery is just boom, $6K out of pocket. So you have to be able to deal with that. And if I didn't have health insurance, I'd probably be a couple $100K, I'd imagine. So you got to have that stuff. You got to have, depending on the situation, if they're single, if they're married, kind of go through this whole protection section. And it's not the sexy stuff, it's boring, but it's where you have to start so you're not building on like a quicksand foundation. Legal documents, will, medical directives, power of attorney. If you have a business, how should you be incorporated, right? LLC, S Corp, C Corp. And then if you have people financially dependent on you, life insurance, disability insurance, stuff like that. So that's kind of the boring stuff we start with, but we start there for a reason, because if you don't have those stop gaps for like the big catastrophic events, then it really doesn't make sense to go with the rest of the planning. Once you have that, then it's building liquid savings, something people are terrible at, and getting out of debt. That's step 2, and those kind of happen at the same time. So for me, if you're just a regular, Joe Blow, regular family working a job, you're not, crazy real estate investor or, own a business, you should have 6 months of your living expenses in an emergency fund, liquid fund, whatever. It could be bank account, in your mattress, in your safe, whatever you're into. But 6 months of living expenses before you invest $1 for anything long-term, meaning no IRAs, retirement accounts, real estate, nothing like that. Why? Because, great question, thanks for asking. If you don't, what's going to happen is all those other things that are long-term are going to become the most expensive unintentional emergency funds ever. Because shit's going to happen. There's a bumper sticker somewhere that says that, I'm pretty sure. Oh, yeah. So stuff's going to break. It usually happens in threes, and it's always at a bad time. It's the washer and the dryer and the transmission on your car or whatever. One of the 11 pit bikes is going to need some parts, right? Oh, yeah. So I think the people that kind of float through, and we're not taught, right? It's not people's fault. We're not taught. We're kind of taught to go out of order and invest in all these long-term investments we can't touch for years first, and then every single time people have to leverage those early and pay a bunch of penalties and negate any returns they got. So it's the boring stuff. You got to have the emergency fund. If you have that, and if you're going to invest in a bunch of real estate, or you have a business where income is up and down, which I'm sure you wouldn't know anything about that.
Oh, no, nothing. No, nothing at all.
Then you should really have 12 months before you do any long-term investing. So that's the hard part, but that's really, it's just like anything. You have to do step 1, and then step 2, and then step 3. And the other part of that's getting out of debt, and I think people make a lot of mistakes there too, where they put all their money towards debt elimination, and they get out of debt, but they didn't do any saving, so they have no liquid savings now, and then they get into debt again. Why? Because life's not going to stop. Shit's going to keep happening. So you have to have, even if you're going to pay off debt slower, to split that up and do some debt elimination, some emergency fund building. At least that way, when you do finally get out, you'll be out forever, because you'll be able to pay cash for the stuff that comes up over here, instead of just paying it off and then going into debt again and having this vicious cycle.
So let's say we're Billy Joe's something or other, privateer rider. Okay, yeah. He's doing actually okay. He's getting on. He's getting some good finishes. Obviously he's going to be pretty much on the road. Mm-hmm. So he's not. More than likely, they don't really have a long-term house until later, unless they're starting a family or anything.
Right. Yeah.
At what point do they really need to start sitting down? Do they just need to hire someone like you to just start kind of showing this to them? Because they're kind of distracted right now.
For sure.
For one, they're rock stars.
Yeah.
They're again blasted on Instagram. They have tens of thousands of followers. Right. They are week in, week out in different cities. Yeah. They're kind of distracted. Mm-hmm. Would it be beneficial if they just had someone like, hey, here, before it gets out of control, let's plan some of this? Or
it's hard, man. At that stage, I almost don't. I don't know that it's worth it. Like, the steps are going to be the same. It's going to be step 1, protection items. Step 2, liquid, emergency fund / debt elimination. Step 3 is in the fun stuff, with is wealth accumulation. That's where you get to save and invest and buy houses and invest in the stock market. Like, that's what everyone wants, is step 3. They're going to have to go in the same order, but honestly, when they're so focused on that, man, it's like, if you can at least kind of start on step 1, so when you do quit, there's at least a foundation there. But it's, God, man, because I know everything's got to go into the racing, everything.
Well, that's just it. It's like, you don't want to get too distracted, because you got to go 110% to go be a pro racer. It's day in, day out. Would it be smart to just get a few basics in line and just literally just squirrel away your nut and then plan when you're done?
Yeah, absolutely. You can still get started on that stuff, and at least set yourself up so you'll have a little bit of a jump start when you are switching from that career to the next career.
because it's very easy to make money disappear.
Yeah.
Ask any famous rapper that became a nobody,
Right.
you know, or any, oh man, you hear horror stories of NBA guys. Those watches, I don't think the resale value
Yeah,
is
no,
really
definitely
there.
not. Yeah.
But they could just go crazy. Next thing you know, like, oh, I got nothing. It's all athletes struggle with it. I think it's pretty bad in Moto though, because we're not making the same money as NBA, NFL. We're not. Not even okay. Ryan Villapoto, Jeremy McGrath, Ricky Carmichael, Ryan Dungey aren't even in the same realm as many just average NFL
journeyman.
guys.
Yeah, for sure.
They're not in the same. I mean, to us, they're like, oh yeah. I mean, Chad Reed has a Lambo. You know, he brought his Lambo to a few races.
Yeah.
And he's a nobody compared to some just average NFL guy.
Yeah.
So but I feel like the risks are higher.
Yes, they are. So I think at a bare minimum, if you're racing, here's what I would have. If you don't have any money to save, right? At least you got to do the protection stuff. So for sure, have medical insurance and have good medical insurance.
Yeah, that helps.
For sure, have accident insurance to supplement the medical insurance, something like Aflac or Colonial or whatever companies are out there. And then, God, you know, more. I mean, that's probably all you're going to do. If you have another, you're talking about guys that wouldn't have another job, right?
Well, if you're racing pro, that's kind of all you got. That's literally, and I'm talking not the guy getting 35th place who trains for 3 weeks. I'm not going to name names, but you know, they're not. How do I put this? Because I'm not trying to discredit them. They put in the years of the racing and stuff, but they're not hitting every single round. They just hit a few, and then they kind of work a job to get some money, keep training, and then go hit a few. There's a lot of those guys that only can hit a few rounds. I'm talking the guys who, quote unquote, made it.
Yeah.
You know, that literally have to be committed 7 days a week, training, racing. Let's say on that, what's the Yamaha team right now? Well, we're losing teams left and right. Formerly JGR, let's say formerly JGR, you're a JGR rider. You don't get an option to go work a side job.
Right.
Your job 24/7 is to be the best rider you can for that team.
Yeah.
So you can't have those distractions. You can't have a side gig. The best you can do, which is usually my suggestion for these guys, is get some merch going.
Yeah. Right.
You know, build your name, build your audience, which your sponsors are going to like. They're going to appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure.
Try to sell some of your own merch though. Don't trust. This is where everyone kills themselves. Do not trust. Let's say, okay, so you're a Supercross rider.
I am. Yes. Thanks for noticing.
Well, what's a good one that actually did it right? Actually, Chad Reed did it right. Okay, let's say you're Chad Reed. You're obviously one of the best. Okay, so you're Chad Reed. Do not trust. Who's the official shirt sponsor of Supercross? I don't know, whoever. So don't trust them to just sell your shirts, because you get like 70 to 80 cents per shirt sale. Cool. That ain't going. I mean, I know they're going to sell 100 or 200. That's still not a lot of money. You're making 150 bucks. No, come up with your own merch and your own stuff and your own website, and maybe bring somebody on to help manage that and sell your own stuff for way higher profits and just build up your name. And the cool thing about merch, and it can be anything from, I mean, Chad went crazy. He had toys, blankets, pillows. He went for everything. But even when you retire, that keeps going for a few years. I mean, right now, I'll buy a Jeremy McGrath hoodie.
Right.
And I make hoodies.
Yeah, for sure.
I'd still, if I saw a really sick McGrath hoodie, and it was like 45, 50 bucks, like, oh, that's sick. And okay, why not? Yeah. Your merch can carry over for years if you build up your name and your brand.
Yeah.
That's usually and we come from very different backgrounds and careers, but that's my thing I usually suggest to people is build your merch, build your name, and don't rely on your sponsors to do that for you.
No, I think that's really good advice. And like I said, I think in addition to that, man, if you just have good medical insurance, good accident insurance, and then if you can save some money, and not in a 401k, just liquid, just in the bank or in your mattress or in your safe or whatever, that's what I would do, and then I would just wait. Because I don't think most people going into motocross, professionally, I don't think they're seeing it as a career. It's like, yeah, if you can get paid to do it, that's great. But I think they really want to go and race the best and be on that stage.
I don't think they even think about what happens after at all. Like, they don't even think, and then it just happens.
Right.
And that's when they're in trouble. It's like, well, it just happened. Now what?
And it's probably worth it to have that life experience. I mean, as far as I know, you only live once, right?
Yes, I hate to see, I've seen some just people really struggle after they finally did quit. I hate seeing that. But by all means, life is short. Go live it. Like, you and me don't get to go be supercross racers. It's not even an option. We don't get to go do that. And especially at our age, I don't know exactly how old you are, but
39.
like we're both, I'm sure, past going to
Pretty old. We're pretty damn old.
we're
Be 40
a
this
little
year.
past our prime, just suddenly deciding we're pro supercross racers.
Right. Yeah.
So it's not an option. So yeah, if you have an option, by all means. I hope they're doing okay for the rest of their life because it's a very short window of their whole life.
Yeah.
It's like
there's-
fighters.
Right.
Fighters typically don't last long. Your body just doesn't put up with that.
Yeah.
And then what do you do?
Right. Yeah, I think a lot of those skills would be transferable from the discipline and determination and competitive drive it takes to be good at motocross at that high level. But you got to have some good people around you and some coaches to be able to kind of steer you to stuff to where you can put that to work. We've had in my industry, so I used to be a manager. I'd hire and train new financial advisors, and I'm happy to not be doing that anymore. But just worry about me. I like my clients. But yeah, we had a lot of ex-NFL guys, and they would come in and they do really well because they saw the skill set and discipline it took to be a top-level athlete there. They could transfer to, a sales industry and do really well there, where it's, competitive and all that fun stuff. So,
Yeah, I have found that former athletes, if they put in the work, can be good salesmen because they're willing to put in the work.
yeah,
They know what it takes to grind.
Yeah.
And I know a few. I want to name a name so bad, but I love him. But he's a really good salesman. It's like I can see where you got it from.
yeah,
But yeah, if you can turn in the work, because it takes a lot of work to be a pro athlete.
yeah.
It's a lot of work.
I'm sure. I wouldn't know, but I'm sure it does.
It
It takes a lot of work to just be in shape at 40.
It takes a lot of work to be in shape at any age.
Yeah,
Let's
that's
be
true.
real.
That's true, yeah.
But like my cousin Mason, he races Supercross, and it's so annoying to me. I have to play the Supercross game.
Yeah,
racing
yeah,
games.
yeah,
I take
yeah,
him out
yeah.
every time. But I just know like his training regiment, and he's just a privateer, lives in Battleground, kind of does his thing, and he works a side job, and then goes and hits a few rounds, travels with a team, and I know the work that he puts in.
Yeah.
The guys and everything that led up to that, over 30 broken bones, concussions, surgeries, blown out both knees, and having to travel around the country as an amateur until he finally was able to go pro, and then all the stuff that happens, and then once trying to get into the ranks and get your pro card and then go, like all the stuff he's done and how much he's training, hiring trainers, working out like a madman.
Yeah.
The guys at the top, like tip of the spear.
Yeah.
Wildman. That takes a lot to get there.
I bet.
So yeah, if you can channel that, but I don't know, I think some do struggle because they've been so
It's,
focused on just one thing their entire life.
Yeah, and something honestly I'm really thankful for in being in sales for so long. And in the first 5 years of my career, we were talking about MLMs for a hot minute before this, but the first 5 years of my career in finance, I was in a multi-level marketing organization.
Oh, here we go.
No, but I'll tell you, for all the bad things about it, and I, obviously don't ever want to be in one again, but there was so much like self-improvement type stuff that was in it, and I really got a lot out of that. Oh shoot, I forgot where I was going now.
Self-improvement, MLM, first few years. I didn't know about any of this. I'm learning.
What were you just saying before that, before I was talking though?
Hard work and dedication. Being a little crazy.
Damn it, I lost it.
Okay, it's all good.
Yeah.
But I was curious, like your take on some of that, because I think it is a problem, especially because we have such a dangerous.
How much you're
Getting out of. Is that what we're talking about? I
I remember. I got it.
Okay.
It was identity. So
Identity.
some of that self-help stuff is where do you get your identity from? So a lot of people, it's I'm a motocross racer, or I'm a financial advisor, I'm a whatever, right? I'm a clothing maker, I'm a dad, I'm a brother, I'm a father, I'm a boyfriend, I'm a husband. And you have these identities for these roles that you play in your life. And I remember a training I went to was really helpful that talks about separating, the roles you play in life from your actual intrinsic identity of who you are. And if you can't separate those, that's why people, they're pro athletes or whatever, when they're taken out of that role and they can't do that anymore, like you can't be a pro motocross guy anymore, and that was your whole like intrinsic value as a person, that's who you were. Yeah, of course. How are you going to recover from that if you can't do that?
I totally agree. I think that is actually a huge problem, is losing that identity. If there's one sport that's worse, it's fighting.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I don't think, as someone who's actually stepped in a cage and done a fight in front of lights, cameras, and all that kind of stuff, I can tell you there's nothing I've ever done that gives you that rush when you win.
Yeah.
Because everyone's around. It's just something, I don't know, it just taps into something, like, and you just feel on top of the world. No race win gave me that.
Oh, yeah.
I get close,
Right.
close, but not like, I think fighting is actually the tip of that. And when you get to the point where you can't win fights anymore because you're getting older and your body's giving up, that is tough. You lose that identity of feeling like you're the biggest badass, you know?
There's very few who go out on the top, man. It's, watching Anderson, I was a big Anderson Silva fan, man, and just watching him just destroy people forever, and then to watch the latter part of his career, it's just sad,
And that has to bug them, and you see a lot of people want to go do fights later, like, what did we just see? Boxing.
Right, yeah.
We just saw two 50-plus-year-old men box.
Yeah.
I don't know if you watched that.
I did. I actually enjoyed it, though.
I
had low expectations, so I enjoyed it.
It was way better than I expected.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was way better than I expected. But how old were they?
Yeah.
I mean, but I think that does bug them. Now, I recognize that I've never really had that issue because I don't really know if I have an identity. I'm like one of those. Have you ever seen those reaction balls where you drop them? They have all these little. It's like a plastic rubbery ball, spikes, and when you, it's like, actually for boxing they use them to train hand speed.
Okay.
So you drop them on the ground because you never know where it's going to spring and try to catch it.
I've not seen those.
All right, they're really fun. It's like $2.
Okay.
And every time you drop it, it goes. You never know where it's going to go, so you try to catch it.
Yeah.
And I'm like one of those. When I get shoved off the table, I don't know where I'm going.
Yeah.
I got a different title every day. I'm a podcaster or a graphics guy or whatever. But if you put your whole life into one thing, especially as an athlete, you got a sense of identity and pride in what you've achieved and where you got. And I think that is it. You bring that up, and I totally agree.
There's some psychological work that has to be done to separate, your identity from this role that you were playing as a professional racer. And in order to do that, then you realize, oh, this is who I am, and then you can go apply that to other areas. But, if you don't have training on that, you're not going to seminars in MLM like I was, how are you going to, learn that stuff? Maybe, you can listen to podcasts and all that. But, that's a hard one, man. Also being, changed, being an entrepreneur, you're, I could tell, like, you're fine with change. You just roll with it, and you're able to adapt and all that fun stuff. But most people fear change. And I think that's a big problem too.
True. And especially if you invested your entire life into one thing, one identity, whatever it is, and being a pro athlete, you kind of have to. So to break away from that and accept that, okay, I'm not that person anymore.
Yeah.
I can't, like, fighting especially, but, motocross, how many guys over 30 can go full supercross speed?
Right.
Not very many.
Yeah.
And your body doesn't keep up.
Yep.
You still got the rest of your life ahead of you, and you have to accept that I'm not that guy. I was that guy.
Yeah.
I can still hang around them. I'm still good, but I'm not that rock star walking around signing signatures anymore. And a guy that was, Jason Anderson, let's say it's Jason Anderson, okay? Jason Anderson, if he just quit, in 4 years, he could walk through the pits, half the people wouldn't recognize him anymore.
Right.
It quickly fades. You got this bright, shining star that's you, and you're walking around, and everybody wants your autograph, take pictures with you, and then in just a couple of years, you're just that dude. Like, I watched Jeremy McGrath get grabbed by a security officer at an arena cross. And he's like, whoa. I'm like, he forgot to get his credentials.
Wow,
and she grabbed him. You can't be in here. He's like, I'm sorry, I'll go grab him. I'm Jeremy McGrath.
Yeah.
Never heard of you. And yanked him along. I'm like, don't touch him. I've told the story a few times, but, like, he was just a person, going from this down. But it happens to everyone. You just got to work with it. But I think some people really do struggle.
Yeah. Here's what I found this year, and this is nowhere near on that scale, obviously, because I wasn't a rock star or anything, but just being able to ride and enjoy riding to, now that's, I've taken that away from myself essentially by getting injured. What do you do? And for me, what I really focused on, I didn't want to just go to the tracks and mope around and wish I could ride. For me, it's like, I've always liked bikes and stuff, but it's what the bikes do for me, how they make me feel. They make me present. They get me in that flow state, all the adrenaline, like all that fun stuff. There's other avenues that I can access those same states of mind from. So that's how I kind of got into the competitive shooting stuff. To say, okay, I still want these feelings, right? Like if dirt bikes were abolished tomorrow, like I would still be alive. I'd have to find a way to have a happy life. At least that's the way I look at it. So what else can I do that's going to get me those similar feelings? And I realized that when you're doing complex tasks, and for me they have to be physically involved for sure. I know that about myself. And then you get kind of good at them, it really does give you that sense of being present and the flow state and all that. So I'd say finding different ways to access those same feelings. Granted, you can't do it if you're, a rock star and then now you're not. But to some extent, I think you can still do that, and finding those other healthy ways to get your fix.
Well, we could lay out this parallel. Professional supercross, motocross rider, 33, can't really hack it anymore. Yeah, maybe if you had a good plan, good strategy, set away a little bit of a nut, got some merch going, take up trophy trucks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they don't have the same age gap.
Right.
Or there's actually a few things where you can still go and be competitive later.
Right.
They're just
With
straight
less
up
physical requirement. Yeah.
Oh, that's just it. Yeah, less physical require. Every sport requires a certain skill set, right? And some of them are Chad Reed.
Yeah.
He's racing cars now.
Right.
Because guess what? He can do that for another 15 years, probably super competitively.
Yeah.
And he's probably going to have fun learning and no longer being the best. He's like, he actually has to put in work again because he ain't the hot shot anymore.
Right.
He may be around his little group. Once he leaves the pits, he's just a nobody around this new group.
Yeah.
I think, and you do see people do that. They go try a new sport where they can basically go longer into their life, and they still get that rush, and they still get that, just whatever you want to call it. Yeah, the flow, being in that flow state, especially like, when you're in that motocross race and it all starts kind of going, and you're putting in the work, but you have to have your brain, your body all sync together.
Yeah.
That's an addictive feeling.
Oh man, when you get that, when you feel it, you're just chasing that forever. And I do think about that. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to ride forever. Like I said, there's there's guys that I admire who are older than me, but still in really good shape and really fast, like Bob Brownlee, Dan Keller come to mind. These guys still rips. Like I hope I'm doing that, but if I'm not, maybe it's a cart, maybe it's something with four wheels and a cage around it. Maybe, shooting competitions you can do. There's guys out there that are like 70 and 80. There's just other ways to do it. So for me, it's just I'm always going to find what I need. To me, that's kind of what life is. You're figuring out what combination of stuff do you need to have to be happy and be a well-adjusted human. And I know for me, I need physical activity. Like I got to be able to work out for sure. And I need something that I can kind of improve at. That's kind of sport centric. Because I can't sit. I can't be on vacation. I basically have to drug myself to watch a movie with my family. Like I can't sit still.
I'm there with you.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly good at watching movies.
Yeah.
I watch very few. Once in a while, I'm tired. I'll get sucked into one. Okay, but otherwise, I can't do it. I haven't had TV in years.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, I have a TV, but like I don't have any
like cable or whatever.
Cable or like I haven't watched the news in almost 10 years.
Wow.
I can't do it.
Yeah.
Can't do it. That's a whole other topic, but
yeah, no, I'm with you there. I never watched the news. I think the first time I ever really watched the news was like the first part of COVID, and then once I kind of, got enough of that after a month or two, then I stopped watching.
I will get depressed if I watch the news.
Yeah. No, it's all sad shit.
And then the good stuff is like fake stories they literally put together just to make, here's our happy puppy story.
Right.
I'm sorry for all the news people watching, but I struggle. And so that's for other people. It's not my source of entertainment.
Yeah.
I'm a podcast guy.
Yeah.
I like listening to podcasts, which is why I started a podcast.
For sure.
Because I like podcasts. And if I find one I don't like, guess what? There's other cool ones. And they'll talk about my stuff.
Yeah.
If I want to learn about elk and jalapenos, I listen to Joe Rogan.
Right, yeah.
Boom, and I can get all I want. And like, there's a meat eater podcast.
Right.
There is hunting ones. There's fishing ones. There's I can find like the stuff I enjoy.
Yeah.
I can dive into those.
Right. Yeah.
Rather than hearing about all the depressing stuff that I don't really want to hear about.
For sure.
So.
Shift gears a little bit. I do want to talk about kind of being on property and then having a track at your house. What I thought it was going to be, what it actually is, kind of thing.
A little different?
Yeah. And obviously, you've been to your share of private tracks, but
I had one.
Did you? Oh, I didn't know that. So that might have been before I met you.
Yeah, actually, I grew up with one.
Okay.
From about age 12, pretty much until I moved out.
Okay.
I had one too. Like,
Nice.
And yeah, it's still there actually. I went and saw it a couple months ago. It's completely overgrown, but still there.
Nice.
So yeah, no. So what's it like? Because I could tell you some stories too of interesting times.
Yeah.
But it's been interesting.
Yeah. So and I
good?
love being on property. So about 5 years ago, we moved from, Jen and I were living in the burbs in Beaverton. And then she grew up on property. I didn't. I was always a suburb kid, and I always kind of wanted to. I wished I grew up on property.
So you were a hippie suburb kid.
I wasn't a hippie, but
Your dad was a hippie.
I was a suburb kid. My dad was a hippie. Yeah,
Okay.
still is. Yeah. No, I was a little hooligan. But okay, so we moved there about 5 years ago. So it's 6 acres in Canby. Cool, and I'm learning all about property and loving it. And I don't ever want to not live on property again. Like, I don't think I could ever go backwards. And having a shooting range on my property now is just like, and for the kids, like, I wish I grew up like this. But specifically the track part, so we get there, and it's like, okay, you think it's going to be all this, and I think you're going to my thought was I'm going to ride every single day. Like, every single day I'm going to come home from work, and I'm going to ride, 7 days a week. And you don't realize, first of all, how much work goes into it. So I bought a tractor. So I just have a tractor and a disc. So I can't build the track. I rented a dozer and hired an operator, Steve Corey, awesome guy, to build it for me. And then I just have to maintain it. So I can, do the lips of the jumps, and I have a little disc I can drag to kind of, make it nice. But even doing that, just for me to disc my track is probably 90 minutes. And it's not the biggest track. It's on 2.5 acres. And then to water it, so I have a 1,000-gallon tank on a water truck. But the truck can't drive up all the elevation and stuff we got there. So we just drag hose. So we're dragging 400 feet of 2-inch fire hose. It's heavy as crap. And any buddies who have been ridden over at the Sullivan compound, you guys know, that's what we did. And we go water, and that's probably another 30, 45 minutes. And by that time, everyone's so tired they can't even ride. And then we go ride. So don't get me wrong, it's been fun. We've had great barbecues, having people over, and for testing and tuning, it's amazing. And having kids and just newbies and stuff. But I found that I was really only riding, occasionally I would do hey, let me get a quick 20-minute moto after work, But for the most part, it didn't scratch the itch as far as if I got a hard on that I want to go ride, that itch is not going to get scratched in my home track. I'm going to want to go to Albany or Mountain View
right?
I did think it would.
Go to all the tracks.
Yeah,
yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So it just becomes kind of the test and tune track for me.
And you get to know the track too well.
Yes.
So you know the lips and all that and everything. After a while, it's okay, yeah. You don't get excited to go put your gear on to ride at your track.
Yes.
But it's Tuesday, Mountain View. All right, let's go. Load up.
Yep.
But you have a track in your backyard.
Right.
No, I totally know. Yeah.
And if you just hop on and ride and you do no prep, it's obviously not going to be the best conditions, right?
Nope.
So if you want the best conditions, okay, now it's a couple hours of prep, and I need someone to help me water because I can't drag that hose by myself. And then, obviously it's shorter, and like you said, all the jump. Super fun, we have barbecues and have friends over, but by myself, I almost never ride the home track. And then just the maintenance and cost, to rebuild it every year. Every year we rent a dozer. I hire an operator. It's usually Steve.
Makes you appreciate the work put into tracks when you go practice, right?
When people are bitching about $35, dude, or it went from 30 to 35, I was like, you guys are high, dude.
You know the work that goes into it. Just ride a home track that's not been touched in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a difference. There's a huge difference.
Yeah. So it gave me new respect for that. But wouldn't trade property for the world. The moto track aspect of it, I still like having it, but it's definitely become lower on my priority list than other reasons why I love having property.
Gotcha.
I think people, I don't think people realize that. So
until you have one, you don't. And it's a lot of work. A lot of people do that. They hire somebody to build the initial track, and then they keep a tractor around.
Yeah.
The dozer's not cheap to just go buy.
No.
And then even if you got one, doesn't mean you know how to operate it properly.
Yeah.
Now you didn't operate it, just build everything. The main build of the track is so important, and I'm not good at it at all. I'm lucky to be able to go disc one. That's the extent of my skill set. But hiring Steve Corey, someone who knows what they're doing, flip them the money. Just send them the money and let them build it right, and then you just try to prep it for 6 months to 12 months or so.
Yeah, no, I play around a little bit because usually I get the rental a day before and after he comes, so I play around. But oh my God, he has such respect for what he does, especially building huge step ups. When he's just doing a 12 o'clock wheelie on the tractor or on the dozer like this, and then he comes over it and it goes back. I was like, I'd be shitting my pants the whole time.
Well, I know an operator this year who actually got KO'd doing that.
Wow.
Using a new dozer, and some of the controls were a little different.
Yeah.
And he went right up a lip of a jump, didn't slow down, slam, it hit his face on the one of the one of the
like a
levers
bar
or
right
something.
there,
And KO'd himself. And the tractor just or the dozers just slowly just keep going
Oh,
with him just
man.
out.
That's
Scary. Someone had to jump in, and I think I don't know exactly. I wasn't there, but yeah, scary.
Yeah, absolutely.
Scary. It takes a lot of skill to run one of those suckers and to build the jumps just right and prep them. And man, those guys get crazy on some of these. Like, for example, the tracks we work on, they will use different dirt for the jumps than they will for the rest of the track because they need the harder clay built into the faces because they're going to get beat up. You can have softer dirt 15, 20 feet back,
Right.
but not on the jump.
Yeah.
And so when they bring in dirt, now you start looking at when they bring in dirt fresh at some of these tracks. Yeah, it doesn't go everywhere. It's not like just spread everywhere. No, it's certain places. It's an art that I totally do not have a mastery of. I mean, I don't have anything, but I just notice. I've worked with enough and noticed, like, oh, you guys really think this through.
Strategery.
Yeah. Is that a word?
Yeah, no, I made it up.
Okay.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, I was just thinking about that made me think about Jen's injury too. She got injured the year prior at Albany, so she hasn't been on a bike for I think like a year and a half. So she has another surgery actually this Thursday. So I'm hoping this spring coming that we'll both be riding again. That would be.
Sounds like you guys need to stop going to Albany.
No, I
I'm
love
just
Albany.
kidding.
They're my favorite, man. As far as people who run a track, the leeches are fucking awesome.
The last time I rode at Albany, I broke a pinky.
Did you?
Because those tires, those giant tractor tires.
Oh, yeah.
I was racing.
Yeah.
I don't forget who I was racing. I came in the inside corner. I tried to go super inside, and my pinky got smashed against my handlebars, and I broke my pinky out there.
Yeah.
Because those tires, they're not soft.
You just clipped it when you were.
Just clipped it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gave me a nice little jerk of the bars, and then I just kept going. I'm like, oh, that one hurt. And after a lap, like, yep, it's numb. And I see it bleeding out my glove, and I'm like, yep, I smacked it good. Because those tires are not soft whatsoever. It's basically rock.
Yeah.
They look, I mean, you think rubber, nah, it's rock.
No, yeah, they're huge.
They don't move. Those are huge, too, the biggest tires. I hate those things. Another time a few years back, I actually hit one with my front brake, and it flipped over the
Really?
bars. Once again, I take
You
weird
gotta take different lines, yeah.
I take weird lines. Anyone who's like ridden behind me knows I take weird lines, and sometimes I go super inside.
Okay.
And I'll go from like sweeping out, and I'll dart beyond inside. Like I hit things all the time.
Okay.
I've crashed at PIR from hitting poles.
Really?
I've hit the tree at Riverdale and gone over the bars. Did 2 different races.
Yeah, this definitely sounds like a you problem and not a track problem.
Well, sometimes it pans out and I have good lines. I can make passes.
Yeah.
But I do not ride in most of the race lines.
Okay.
I dart across ruts. I got my own weird style. I got the ugliest whip. I mean, I have a weird style. No one should ever copy me. But I tend to hit things, and that's why I've actually broken every finger.
Really?
Hands. Both hands, yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah, I got messed up knuckles. I got
That's impressive.
both wrists crack.
Yeah.
Yeah. And most of it, I'd say half of it from hitting things, half of going over the bars
Okay.
and just putting your hands out.
Right.
You need to learn the tuck and roll, not the land on the hands.
Yes.
If you notice,
I do good. Most time I do good on that.
some old dudes, they got the tuck and roll down pretty good.
Yeah.
They've spent many years going down, and they learned that, okay, just roll.
Yeah.
Do not turn into just that, like, lawn dart. Bad things happen when you lawn dart.
Yeah. And that's what I was trying to just go in limps. Another thing, the tuck and roll would also kind of try to be limp so you can kind of absorb it, and not be rigid.
Yeah, if you
It didn't work
tense
out
up,
on the last one.
it's funny don't they say in car accidents, the drunk guy or the falling asleep person actually gets the least amount of injuries because they're relaxed.
Yep.
If you brace, you can actually cause damage, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah.
But it's true.
Absolutely.
So you just got to go limp when you crash.
Do that and wear a lot of gear. And I was wearing, when I crashed, by the way, knee pads, neck brace, body armor, like I wear all of it. And I'm sure my injuries would have been much worse had I not. But yeah, I think just, if they make it, I'll wear it. Why wouldn't I?
Oh, that's a whole another discussion. We got to go actually here in a minute. That's
Okay.
a whole discussion for another. We can do it on the after show, though. We still got our after show.
Sure.
If we want to get into safety equipment.
Yeah.
I got some weird ideas on that too, but
And safety meetings, those are important.
safety meetings.
Inside joke.
Okay. Is there anything we didn't really cover for this one?
I don't think so, man. Yeah, I think we hit most of it. Yeah.
Apparently, you need to stop getting hurt.
Yeah, I mean, it was just one
Actually,
crash.
The whole fam.
Yeah, it was one crash, but no, I'm hoping 2021 we'll both be riding again, and we'll be camping in the motorhome, and Jen and I will be ripping up all the tracks, and hopefully that's the case.
Fingers crossed that 2021 will see a lot of positive, good things.
Yeah.
Hopefully good riding for you. So you said around April?
April, yeah. And sooner than that, so I can't even start strengthening my left shoulder here from the rotator cuff surgery until like another 10 days. But I'm hoping I can start shooting again, and maybe doing competitions again within the next maybe 3 weeks or so. So that'll at least give me something to tide me over. But yeah, I think it's going to be April. That'll be the 6-month mark before I can ride. And my knee will be great by then because I'll have ton of time. But I won't really know on the shoulder. We'll have to see how it feels. That's what they told me. It's a 6-month deal, but you never know until you're in it.
That's a rough one, man. 6 months. 6 months for one injury.
Yeah.
That is rough. Well, thank you for coming on, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. And I'm just all depressed now. 6 months.
Yeah, no.
We're going to end with me being all bummed out.
No.
Hey, there's not a lot going on until then, so look on the bright side, especially it's winter.
Yeah.
And winter in the Northwest is not really the most prime time to ride it. We do it.
Yeah.
We have fun, but it's...
Spring and fall is where it's at, so I'm looking forward to that spring.
I do Riverdale in the winter.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest, a January in Riverdale is not quite as fun as a July at Washougal.
Yeah, right, yeah.
When it's 34 degrees out there and you're just shivering and waiting for the track to thaw just enough.
Mm-hmm.
It's not quite the same experience.
Yeah.
It's
Agreed.
fun in its own way. It's just like going elk hunting in the mountains and you didn't bring enough gear. It's fun because you survived.
Yeah, no doubt, for sure.
But anyways, thank you again, Dave. We're going to get out of here. Thank you guys for listening or watching Moto Monday number 131. And if you're watching live, we'll be back in just a few minutes for our after show with our Apple.
Pen